All right, I'm out with Michael from Shredding Trails today. We're just going to do a little ride together. I want to find out a bit more about his company. So, hey Michael.
Hey, how you doing?
So, beautiful day here on the Gold Coast. And Michael, so when did you start Shredding Trails and how did it come by?
Well, Shredding Trails was officially launched on the 1st of November 2021,
Yeah.
but there was 18 months worth of R&D before that. The stimulus really was, I got made redundant from university as a lecturer in biochemistry, and the very next day I broke my arm on the trails.
Oh wow.
So it was pretty hard. But the kids, they rallied up and they said, "Dad, don't worry, we'll form a mountain biking brand."
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we had an idea about it, but it really gave us an opportunity to put all our resources and energy into the development of the brand. And I said to the kids, I really don't know how to create a brand such as this. And they said, "Don't worry, Dad, we'll find somebody to help you." So they put me in contact with a young lady in Seattle, Washington, who at the time was working for Raceface. So I sent her an email and not really expecting anything in return. And a week later, she wrote back to me and said, "I've just read your story." And I've been actually really, really moved by what you had to say and how you want to help support your kids and this dream to produce this mountain biking brand. How can I be of assistance? And can I just be really, really short with this? Because there's not many people that I believe would have done something like that.
Yeah.
It really put what I consider to be the human back in humanity, especially after such two tragic events, losing my job and then being in a major accident where I couldn't physically work.
Yeah.
So working quite closely with Christina over a 12-month period, we started to really hone in on what the brand was about. And the kids had just done an environmentally friendly unit at school on sustainability. So we quickly moved towards the sustainability angle, and using my knowledge of science and biochemistry, I helped to engineer and source some of the best fabrics in the world, some of which I only have access to.
Yeah.
And these fabrics, like for example, the jerseys that we're wearing today, are engineered to have an inbuilt thermoregulation system. So although it's cold now, it's probably around 12 to 13 degrees, with a wind chill factor probably bringing it down to 5. We actually don't feel it.
Well, actually, I was just thinking that myself.
Yeah.
Like, this is my first time wearing this shirt, and it is quite cool today. And just with the wind coming against us as well.
Exactly. And the beauty about the net of this jersey is what we call a 3D geometrical net. So it's not a flat net, which means that it has the ability to hold small little air pockets to keep you warm.
Yeah.
A bit like a wetsuit works, but that contains water, etc. As the temperature starts to rise, what happens is all those pockets of air get vented out to the universe, and they start to cool you down. And then as you start to sweat, every gram of sweat that you releases 4,200 kilojoules worth of energy, which is a significant amount of heat that's been dissipated away from your body, helping to keep you cool. So in terms of technical prowess, this is one of the most technical jerseys ever created.
Yeah. Wow.
And the other thing that we wanted to do was focus on picking fabrics that were recycled. So this is made from recycled plastic bottles, and the fabrics manufactured in Australia. So the fabrics manufactured in Australia, the jerseys are manufactured in Australia. You can't get more Australian than that, can you?
Or Gold Coast.
On the Gold Coast, for sure.
So all your operations are based here on the Gold Coast? Or?
Yeah, pretty much. When we first started, we knew that we had to keep our supply chain quite close to us just in case we got another COVID issue.
Yeah.
Personally, I know that during COVID, a lot of the bigger brands had big tankers stuck in Shanghai for 6 months, whereas we were fine just manufacturing locally. No issue there. So the recycling thing was big for us. We did some research in terms of how much consumption there was in Australia per unit person, and it's around 27 kilograms a year of apparel people actually purchase, of which 23.5 kilos goes into landfill. So we're actually the second biggest consumers of fast fashion in the world after the United States.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So those trails here just improved so much. So once again, I'm out with Michael here from Shredding Trails. So Michael, you said to me before that your kids got you into the business. Were they big mountain bikers when they got you into the business?
Absolutely. I mean, my eldest son, Jason, started mountain biking probably at the age of 7. And, it didn't come naturally to him, but he tried so hard and he improved exponentially to the extent that he was riding boomers like pretty easily, he's doing all the jumps, etc. And I would call Jason a freestyle rider. He didn't do too well in races, but when you saw him racing freestyle, he was in his element. Yeah, he really was. And he was probably my main inspiration for starting the brand, doing something for my kids, etc. But, Alex, my youngest son, naturally talented, doesn't take long to pick things up. And one of the things I realized very early on in my career as a lecturer was you can't force people to do things because it may come back and haunt you later on. And unfortunately, that's what we did with Alex. We forced him a little bit much, and he didn't really want to get into mountain biking. But now he's back into it, and it's really great to see. He actually rides his bike quite a bit, and he's into like a whole bunch of other sports.
They're enjoying the mountain biking and the business. Do you find, are they really involved with the business to help you, like with the sales point, or what are they doing inside that business?
My point of reference, my go-to people are my kids. Like I'll go back to them and say, what do you think of this idea? What do you think of this design? And, we collaborate together with the creation of new designs. And it's really special because, it's like a family unit. And of course, they've got their own social friends that they work with, and we get ideas from them. But ultimately, the biggest test is when we take it out to market and to see what our demographics think of it. So typically, our first jersey that we created, it took 18 months to perfect. Most brands would take a lot less than that. We just wanted to make sure that when we launched, it was pretty much there to go. So this particular jersey here, made from recycled plastic. It has an inbuilt thermoregulation system, which allows you to feel warm when it's cold, but cool when it gets hot. In addition to that, the jersey has been created to be tear resistant and also stain resistant. Two of the biggest reasons why people get rid of their apparel is it tears or it gets stained. More importantly, after its product life cycle, you can actually return our jerseys back to us and we'll recycle them. So our jerseys never end up in landfill. On average, 27 kilograms a year is purchased per Australian in terms of apparel, and 23.5 kilograms goes back into landfill. And we knew that was a big issue. So what we were attempting to do was create or close the loop basically on that fast fashion. So we're kind of leading the way when it comes to that issue here in Australia, and a lot of other brands are looking towards us in terms of how we're doing it. And some of them have actually taken on board some of the things that we're doing, which is really great to see because one brand can't do it alone. It really takes a majority of brands to follow suit in order for us to solve this issue in terms of environmental sustainability when it comes to.
And how do you find with to produce something of that higher quality to compete in the industry? People can make things from China or different locations really cheap these days, and I'm sure being a local designer and made locally must be a struggle for you to show people why it's worth what it is.
It was always going to be a struggle. Fabrics manufactured in Australia, we manufacture the jerseys in Australia. The labour costs are going to be significantly higher than if we went abroad. So we don't compete on price, we compete on values. So people that come to our brand are aligned with our values. The fact that we are environmentally sustainable, we give back to the community, etc. And we have a grassroots program where we invest in young riders to allow them to reach their true potential. And there's a number of riders that have come through over the last year that are now literally on the national circuit and doing extremely well.
So you mentioned before that you support some riders, some other mountain bikers. Can you tell me a bit more about that?
So one of the riders that I'd like to talk about is Kai Pavara.
Mm-hmm.
Kai came on board around 2 years ago and pretty much was unknown to the mountain biking industry. I saw that he had the potential to be a great rider at the time, and even when I gave him his first sticker, the smile on his face was ecstatic to see. And he's come such a long way over the last 2.5 years. And now Kai is sponsored by the likes of Fox, POC, Pivot, and it just goes on and on and on. And that young man has really dedicated the last 2.5 years to showcasing that he has the potential, and he clearly has the potential, to be one of the best riders in Australia, if not the world. And we've been there for him since day one, helping to support him. And it's not just Kai, you know, there are other riders that are coming through, and we'll see them coming through over the next year or two. But yeah, very much a grassroots initiative. And as a consequence of that, we now have a rider that's come back from Crankworks, has taken out the dual slalom in the under 19 category and narrowly missed out on the DH. Yeah, pretty impressive.
I don't know a lot about the racing scene because I used to be involved in it when I was a kid, but since then not. But I believe you do a lot of support with different races locally.
Yeah.
Are you doing just local, or are you trying to?
We're trying to expand, but for the last 12 months, we've been really focusing on sponsoring local events. Corralburn's been really big. Rocky Trails is another one. And over the next month, I'm going to be up in Noosa for the Noosa Enduro as well. We also have a big focus on female riders. I think it's a very underrepresented brand within the mountain biking industry. We have the highest percentage of female riders out of any sponsored team in Australia, averaging between 40 to 45%, depending on who's active at that particular time. And that's really great for us because we use their feedback to create jerseys and apparel that is female specific rather than just an afterthought, which is typically what tends to happen in the mountain biking industry. You'll create a male version and then, let's create a female version. And it's not necessarily being created for them specifically. We, on the other hand, start from scratch, work forward, making sure that the cut, the fit, the styling, the colours are all in alignment with what our female demographics actually
I can see that as a big point of difference with your company is your focus on locals and the environment. You know, you see a lot of other brands and they'll just throw their products out there trying to make money out of it, but you seem to be wanting to do a lot more than just have a successful business.
We're about showcasing the benefits of slow fashion, not fast fashion. We don't overproduce. And one of the great benefits of that is we never end up with excess stock that ends up in landfill. In fact, we encourage riders at the end of the product life cycle to return your apparel to us and we'll recycle it, making sure that it doesn't end up in landfill. And we'll give them 15% off their next product as an incentive for them to do that.
Okay.
Our objective is to take a local product and take it internationally. So we're working currently with a number of individuals across the world in order to make that a reality. So it's just a matter of time. And one thing that we've found is by dealing with our international counterparts, they're telling us they just don't have access to the sort of fabrics that we do within their countries and the properties that these fabrics have as well.
Which is surprising because you've got massive labels.
Absolutely, absolutely. But you've got to remember that small, innovative companies have the ability and the flexibility to do things on a wing, whereas big organisations, they have to basically work 12 months ahead. Yeah. So the beauty about being a small business is we can have that flexibility to be innovative
literally within a couple of weeks as opposed to a couple of years. And that's certainly helped us in the past, and it's currently helping us currently as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, with our business model.
For myself, this is the first time I've had a chance to wear your brand, and I must say, compared to some of the big label stuff that I do wear, is that this is more comfortable, drier. As you said, this morning when we started our ride, it was pretty cool. As soon as I put it on, your chest feels warm, but then when I warmed up, my body didn't heat up either in the fabric. So, and also, wearing either a backpack or something on the ride, there's no sweat, marks or anything. So, very impressed. It's very lightweight too. It's just, you feel like you're not wearing a shirt.
Thank you, Diesel.
So, yeah.
Well, it just showcases 8 months of R&D.
Yeah.
And remember, my background is I was a former scientist. I was a university lecturer. So I tend to scope things out a little bit more than the average brand would, purely because of my history and the way that I've done things in the past. So, and it's reflective of the feedback now we're getting, and you're another person that's actually reflecting that as well. And it's really great to see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I look forward.
Thank
I've told you before, I'm going to get my own little custom build shirt done up, get a bit of a diesel on the back. So, yeah, we look forward to that. And thank you for the ride. Thanks for coming out with me today.
Well,
and,
thank you for
always
helping
an
out.
experience, meeting new riders and stuff. And especially, as I always say, any local companies I love to support. Always start local, and to see you hopefully take it international would be an amazing thing to see. So good luck with that, and thanks, Michael.
Thanks, Diesel. You're a legend.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, man.